Hi, I'm Anthony Sammarco and I'm the author of So.Boston. Today we're actually at Marine Point in South Boston, an area that was developed in the latter part of the 19th century as an area that was a pleasure area. We would see Marine Park becoming well known, today we call it City Point, as an area that not only had the head house, but also the So.Boston Aquarium. But during the period of the latter part of the 19th century, this area itself was developed, and the tidal flats were infilled to create what was basically an area that would eventually have green space. Behind me would have originally been the head house, a wonderful Germanic Tudor building that was designed by Edmund March Wheelwright. Wheelwright was actually a partner in the firm of Wheelwright and Haven, and they would have actually designed Horticultural Hall in downtown Boston. In some ways, this was a building that not only had restaurants and ice cream stands, facilities and retiring rooms, but it was right on the ocean. And it was something that also had the first cabanas in all of Boston. They had a projecting pier of over 200 feet that projected into Boston Harbor. For the price of a nickel car fare, people came out from downtown Boston as well as the surrounding South Boston community to actually enjoy a day at the pavilion. But during the period of the 1930s and early 1940s, the building unfortunately fell into decline. The Great Depression affected not only people's economies, but also the building's upkeep. During that period of time, the building in 1938 had a disastrous fire. It was never repaired, and by 1941 it was destroyed. In some ways, Edmund March Wheelwright's head house was something that truly claimed this area that today we call City Point in South Boston as an area that was a resort, not only with beaches, but also a pavilion. Right across from the head house was what would eventually become known as the South Boston Aquarium. This was something that was not known in Boston previous to this time. There had been aquatic gardens and things of that sort. In the period of 1912, they built a brick-built with a stucco encased wonderful aquarium that would actually have over 50 tanks, some of which were quite large, that had all sorts of marine life. The interior of the South Boston Aquarium was incredible. It had tanks that actually were seen by people of over 1,000 people a day. But it was even said during the summer months that sometimes over 15,000 people would actually come. Roughly at the same time, they had just built Franklin Park Zoo. So these two natural occurrences, one for animals and the other for fish, were things that brought people not just to the zoo, but also to the aquarium. During the 1930s, the unfortunate circumstance was that the city of Boston really couldn't maintain the aquarium either. And it fell into disuse and it became somewhat run down and decrepit. In 1954 it was closed, and it was lamented not just by the people of South Boston but all of New England. In some ways, Marine Point is a great example of basic passive use of land adjacent to the ocean. Not only do we have people promenading and jogging along the beach, but it's also a place that for over a century now has attracted Bostonians as a place of resort.